Hi, thanks for watching this Introduction to Policy Debate video, part 1. This is part of a larger series that I, Callie Chappelle, am doing as part of my Novice Go Fight Win series, a series of videos aimed at teaching novices how to policy debate. So, let's get started. First, quick introductions. My name's Callie Chappelle, and I'm creating these videos to give novices the resources to be really awesome debaters because I think policy debate is a great activity. So, before we get started, I just want to give you a couple of tips and tricks to make the most out of these videos. So, first, you should definitely take notes and rewatch bits that you need re-explained. Policy debate can sometimes be really confusing, but it's really rewarding once you learn it, but you may have to go back and rewatch parts because sometimes it takes a couple of exposures to the material to become very confident with it. Hopefully we'll have worksheets and or supplemental materials that will go along with this video, so definitely check out the video description and see if I posted anything there. If I haven't, feel free to comment and give any constructive criticism you want, and I'll see what I can do for the next set of videos. I definitely value your input. Next, you don't need to memorize it all. Sometimes we're going to be hitting you with a lot of material, but all you need to do is at least be familiar with everything in the video and you'll be totally okay. Really, it's a building process. Next, your coach may like things differently than exactly what I tell you. That's okay. Everybody has their own debating styles, their own debating preferences, and my way, it's not my way or the highway. Really, it's my way is just one way in which I learned and which I found to be successful, but it by no means is the only way to learn and be successful. Also, there are many different styles of debate. I'm just one example of one particular type of style. This style is not necessarily better or worse than other styles. It's not more or less persuasive. It's just what I was taught and what I am going to be teaching you. However, if you're interested in learning other styles of debate, such as performance debate or identity debate or any other type of debate, maybe performing spoken word poetry in a debate round, that's totally cool, and I actually really love that type of debate. However, because I wasn't trained in it traditionally, then I'm just not quite as familiar with it. If you're interested in learning about that and want resources to learn how to do that better, definitely contact me via the comment bar or by shooting me an email, and I can see what I can do to help you out. Because this video is just a starting point, it's not an end point to debate. And finally, snaps for you. The fact that you're watching this video puts you way ahead of the learning curve. So by the time you actually start debating, you will be light years ahead of your fellow novices. So, snaps for you. Welcome to Policy Debate. As they say, the hardest part is just getting started, and because you've gotten started, you've already gotten way ahead. And debate is such an amazing activity. I'm really excited to be a part of your learning process and your learning journey to become part of policy debate. So, who am I? I'm Callie Chappelle. I'm a debater for the University of Michigan. I debated at Traverse City Central High School in the state of Michigan from 2010 to 2013, and I was captain of my debate team from 2012 to 2013. So this picture over here on the side is the picture of when my partner and I, as well as other members of my team, won the Michigan State Championship in 2013. So that arrow is pointing at me. So this might not mean anything to you now, but I'm a second negative, first affirmative speaker. You'll see that us debaters have a lot of pride for what speaker positions we are. And just a quick heads up, why am I doing this? Well, I think debate is a really amazing activity. I've learned so much from it, and I really want to give back to the community that has given me so much, and to be able to share my great experience with other debaters in this area. So let's talk about why do policy debate. So I've compiled a quick list of really cool people who've done policy debate, and hopefully this will convince you to also do policy debate as well. First is Samuel Alito. He's a Supreme Court justice. Pretty cool guy. Look at that face. So happy. If you read the Hobby Lobby case that just went through the Supreme Court recently, he was the person who wrote the majority decision. Next, Lyndon B. Johnson, president. Come on, who doesn't want to be the president? And that guy, look at him. Come on. Of course he wants to make you do policy debate. Next, Michael Moore. Not only is Michael Moore super awesome because he is big in my hometown of Traverse City, but he's also made lots of really great documentaries showing all sorts of things. His most famous documentary is Capitalism, A Love Story, so you should definitely check it out. How did he get those great documentary filmmaking advocacy skills? From policy debate. And finally, last but not least, Brad Pitt. Come on, the famous actor. How could you not want to do an activity that involved Brad Pitt? Come on. So, let's go. Why debate? So we've already seen people who have done debate and have been very successful. So why should you debate? First, you can conquer your classes. Debate really teaches you how to think. So I made this cool little table that has school skills and how they translate to debate skills, or as I like to think about it, how debate skills translate to school skills. So first, how do you craft a persuasive essay in English? The debate skill that is related to that is learning how to do overviews and do line by line. Those key debate skills really help with being persuasive and being organized in your classes as far as writing. Next, how to conceptualize or understand difficult math concepts. The critique and the politics disadvantage are two very different examples of how we in debate have to use abstract thinking and translate it into strong ideas and persuasive ideas about how to do different methods and concepts. Next, how to learn about meta-level science concepts. This year, the entire topic is about meta-level science concepts. This year, the debate topic, this year being 2014 to 2015, the topic is all about increasing exploration and or development of the world's ocean, or the Earth's oceans. So, you'll be talking a lot about meta-level science, but it doesn't just end there. You also will learn lots about social studies, international relations, climate politics, all sorts of stuff. And finally, my personal favorite, how to out-argue your teacher in civics and social studies classes. The one example of this is in debate process counterplans, but there are so many ways in which you understand deeply civics, governmental processes, and international relations, where you can really have a very, very educated conversation with really anyone about this. Here's another reason. Be the teacher's favorite. You can out-argue your teachers and win. One really great person I met in this activity is this young man here on the far right side. He reminds me a lot of Dr. Sheldon Cooper, which you can see here on the left side. And here he is in real life, currently at UPenn Engineering. Super cool guy. Yeah, pretty cool guy. I like him a lot. All right, there he is. There's the arrow. Okay, and who am I in debate? Well, oops. Elle Woods. Sometimes I like to think of myself as Elle Woods. Sometimes the people in which you think about like being traditional debaters aren't traditional debaters. A lot of people who are not necessarily, like, what you wouldn't think of yourself as being a debater actually be really amazing. So even if you think of yourself as not the kind of person who is a quote-unquote debater, you could be very successful and be really exciting. Also, I know you're wondering this. That's not real Obama. I actually flew to Las Vegas my senior year for a debate tournament, the Golden Desert Debate Tournament, and after we finished the tournament, my partner and I went around Las Vegas and just visited, and one of the things that we did was we went to Madame Tussauds, so that's a wax figure of President Obama, and there's me with the red phone. Alright, next, you can make friends from all over. There are people from all over the country who do policy debate, and this is really exciting because you get to meet people from all over the country. So this is a picture of my lab senior year, because I went to debate camp and I got to hang out with all sorts of cool people. So here's just a couple of quick examples of where everybody was from. So we have people from Georgia, New York, Iowa, Kansas, Utah, Maryland, Washington State, Illinois, California, Arkansas, Florida, she was from Miami, and, of course, the amazing state of Michigan. That's me. Okay. We have to have another disclaimer. So before we get going, you're going to want to strap yourself in, buckle up those seatbelts, because there's a lot to learn. But don't get overwhelmed. All novices are in the same boat as you are, and no one expects you to be perfect. So I try to keep these videos fun and engaging, so keep an eye out for random gifts I throw in. But let's have a promise. If I put in the work to make these videos fun and engaging, I fully expect you to pay attention, take notes, and try to get the most out of this as you possibly can, because I and you have a special learning relationship. Alright, so what is policy debate? Sometimes it's easier to explain what policy debate is not. So debate is not two people arguing. It's not usually in front of a lot of people, and it's not what lawyers do. I remember when I was a little kid, I'd watch that movie Miracle on 34th Street, and there's that scene where they're all in the courtroom, there are lawyers all around, and I'm like, that's policy debate. That's not what policy debate is. Policy debate teaches you a lot of skills. It has very much the same skill set as lawyers, but we're not simulating like a legal scheme, or we're not simulating a courtroom. So sometimes we have to dispel that myth. So here's the honest truth about debate. It requires a lot of hard work. So just like any sport, musical instruments, or just being an awesome person, for some people, debate requires lots of research, lots of practicing, and lots of learning. But in the end, it's a lot of fun. Sometimes you're like, research, really? No. Research is, in my opinion, the best part of debate. Next, debaters who work the hardest do the best. Just like anything else, if you practice the piano for an hour each day, you'll end up being a lot better than the person who just practices for 15 minutes each day. That's just how the world works. Next, debate looks great on a college application. Come on, if you're planning for a future 4 years down the road, 3 years down the road, you want to be having things on your application that colleges will look at to set you up for success later down the road. Of course, the most important part is debate is fun. It's really for the adrenaline junkie. When I stand up to give a speech, I've got adrenaline coursing through my veins, and it's like I've drunk literally 6 cups of coffee. But it's without the risks. Next, debate teaches you how to think. You're up against the smartest people across the country, and they're all going at one another. And let me tell you, nothing feels better than beating someone who thinks they're smarter than you, but actually isn't in a debate. And finally, friends, great people. I have made so many good friends that I still keep in contact with through debate, even people that I've met 3 or 4 years ago, and they're really people that will stick with you the rest of your life. So, what do we debate about? So, debates center around the resolution. So, key in on this word, the resolution. This is a general statement about how the United States government should address a national problem. So, this year, the resolution is the following. Resolved. The United States federal government should substantially increase its non-military exploration and or development of the Earth's oceans. So, how do we get the resolution? The resolution is voted on across the country, and debaters across the U.S. debate the same resolution. So, whether you go to a debate tournament in Florida, or if you go to a debate tournament in California, everybody is going to be debating this topic if you do policy debate. The topic stays the same the whole year. Some forms of debate, such as LD, their topic changes, I think, on a monthly basis. But for us, we vote on our resolution at the beginning of the end of the previous school year, and then it goes all the way through the summer, through the school year, all the way until the end of the school year where you're debating the same topic. So here are some examples of past resolutions. Some of them were decreasing military deployments, increasing space exploration and or development, and increasing transportation infrastructure. These were the 3 topics that I debated on. So, where do we debate? Really in 4 main places. First is a classroom. So if you're in a debate class, you'll debate in your class. Next is debate team practice. So if you're part of a debate team, you can go to your practice, usually after school, and have practice debates there. Next is tournaments. We have places where we'll drive or fly to a debate tournament where lots of teams come together and debate one another. And finally, at debate camp. A lot of us crazy debaters like to go to debate camp. Actually, most debaters go to debate camp. And these are large national camps that are stay away, and you'll go from between 1 and 7 weeks and practice debating. It is so much fun. Let me tell you, the year before I went to debate camp, I went to Europe, and I actually had more fun at debate camp than traveling all around Germany. I don't know, that just says a lot about how fun the debate camp is, not how bad Europe was, because Europe was awesome. So, how does a debate work? So 2 teams sit down to debate the resolution. What was the resolution again? Oceans. At a tournament, every 2-person team is debating at the same time in different classrooms. So it'll be you and one partner, and you'll debate together, and then if you go to a tournament, then all the 2-person teams will be debating another 2-person team at the same time in different classrooms. It'll get cleared up as we talk about this a little bit more. So there are 2 sides of debate. There's the affirmative or the AF team, and then the negative or the neg team. So the affirmative team gives a reason why the resolution is good. That's called the affirmative plan. Okay, I'm going to be hitting you up with lots of vocab, so you better have that pencil out and be writing down this vocab like a pro. So an example of an AF plan is that we, the United States federal government, should increase oil drilling in the ocean. That's just one example. There are lots of different AF plans that we'll be talking about way in depth in the next couple of videos. The other side is the negative side, or the neg team. They give reasons why the AF's plan is a bad idea or does not fit under the resolution e.g., it's not talking about exploration and or development of the Earth's oceans. So an example of saying why the oil drilling affirmative plan is a bad idea is saying that increasing oil drilling will hurt the environment and make us more dependent on oil. So the AF side says why the resolution is good, the neg team gives reasons why the resolution is bad, or the AF specific example of the resolution is bad. So finally, let's turn to this diagram here at the bottom that says diagram of a debate round. So this is what happens when you're actually in a debate, how it's set up. So where spatially everyone is sitting. So these two circles, actually all the circles here represent people. So you don't need to know this right now, but 1A and 2A are the two different affirmative speakers, and 1N and 2N are the two negative speakers, and then J stands for judge. So the AF team sits here with the table, and they're facing the judge, and then the neg team sits here, and they have a table in front of them, and they're also facing the judge, and then the judge sits here with a table, and then they're facing all the debaters. Sometimes there's a table here with a podium, and then when you speak, you can just come up to the podium in front of the judge, but not always. So, here's another diagram of a debate round, and I think that this picture is a little bit more funny. So, let's start here with the negative team. So, there's me at a debate tournament at the Michigan Round Robin, and my partner, his name's Mike, my high school partner, and see, we're sitting at a table here. Oh, where'd my mouse go? Right here. We're sitting at a table, and here are our two computers, and we're facing the judges. Okay, here's the affirmative team. So this is a picture of a couple of my novices in my high school debating in the finals of our novice state championship. And here they are. They're facing the judges. They're facing this way, the same direction as we're facing. They've got their computers out. Just a quick reminder, this is not real smoke. Don't worry, their computers did not start on fire in the final debate round. We just put that in there for fun. And then here are the judges. So, I'm sorry, this picture is not totally accurate. The judges should be actually facing the two sets of debaters. And usually there's just one judge, but this was just a picture that I had that was really funny. This guy is like one of my favorite people in the debate community. He's super cool. So that's why I wanted to put this picture in. But usually there's just one judge and they're facing the two tables of debaters. So, quick question. Can I pick what side I want to be? Well, not really. You have to debate both sides of a topic. So why do we do that? It's so you can learn how to see both sides of an issue. This has been really helpful for me personally in real life, just being able to kind of play devil's advocate and really understand an issue before I take an opinion on it. But, of course, this changes depending on the setting in which you're debating. So in class, your teacher may decide who is AF and who is neg. If your class is only 40 minutes long, you might not have time to have two full debates where you're AF and where you're neg. So your teacher may just say, today you're going to be AF, today you other people are going to be neg. Next is in practice debates. Your coach may decide. If you're at debate practice, then your coach may decide who's going to be AF and who's going to be neg in a particular debate. At tournaments, the tournament uses a computer program to decide. So the people who are running the tournament use a special computer program, and they randomly, well, not really randomly, but they assign you whether you're AF or neg for a particular round. So usually you have 6 debates at a tournament, and you'll debate 3 times on the AF and 3 times on the neg. And the order in which you debate and who you debate is determined by this computer program. So, speaker positions and times. Before we talk about this, you don't need to remember this. You can make a copy of the speaking order and times and bring it with you in a debate, so you don't have to have this memorized. But after a while, after you do it enough, you will just remember it, and you don't need to know. You won't have to have your paper because you'll just have it memorized. But you're not that place right now, so don't worry. Just know that you don't have to memorize it for right now. So before we talk about this, first know that most of the speeches are prepared before the round or during prep time during the debate, so you just don't have to say things off the top of your head. You'll have stuff prepared, and at the end of the debate, the judge will tell you who won and what you need to work on. So let's talk about all the speeches. So the first speech is called the first affirmative constructive, or 1AC. That's 8 minutes long, and then it's followed by a cross-ex of that speech by the second negative speaker. The second speech in the debate is the first negative constructive. Again, like the first affirmative constructive, it's 8 minutes long, and it's followed by a cross-ex of the speech, or by the 1A. And so a cross-examination, we'll have a separate video about this, is just a time when the other team can ask the team that gave the previous speech questions about what they said. The third speech in the debate is the second affirmative constructive, or 2AC, and that's 8 minutes long, and that's followed by cross-ex of that speech by the first negative speaker. The fourth speech is the second negative constructive, and that's 8 minutes long as well, and that's followed by cross-ex of that speech, the 2NC, by the 2A. So here's a quick thing that you should notice. First is there's a set pattern here. It goes affirmative speech, negative speech, affirmative speech, negative speech. And since they're all constructive speeches, they're all 8 minutes long. So now let's switch to the rebuttals. Now this is where things get a little wonky. So you'll notice that the constructive started with the affirmative speaker speaking first. Well, in the rebuttals, it switches positions and the negative speaker gets to go first. So wait a minute, doesn't that mean that 2 negative speeches happen in a row? Yeah, then that's called the negative block. We'll learn more about that when we talk about giving negative speeches in a couple of videos. So the next the next speech is the first negative rebuttal, which is 5 minutes long. Next is the first affirmative rebuttal, or 1AR, which is 5 minutes long. The next is the second negative rebuttal, or 2NR negative rebuttal, 5 minutes long. And the last speech in the debate is the second affirmative rebuttal, and that's also 5 minutes. So just like the constructives were all 8 minutes long, the rebuttals are all 5 minutes long. And they don't have cross-examinations. Cross-examinations only happen after the constructive speeches. Alright, so that was a lot of information. Seriously, don't worry too much about this. There's going to be a whole nother video where we'll show you more information about how to give each speech in particular. And the big thing that you should take away from this video is there's a speaking order. So people have to speak in a particular order: affirmative, negative, affirmative, negative, negative, affirmative, negative, affirmative. And there are time limits. Constructives are 8 minutes, rebuttals are 5 minutes, and even though it's not on this slide, cross-examinations are 3 minutes. So what do you need to know? Speaking order, time. Okay, so how does the AF win? The AF's got to prove that the resolution is true. So what's the resolution again? Here it is. Resolved. The United States federal government, aka what we like to call the USFG, should substantially increase its non-military exploration and or development of the Earth's oceans. So what does the AF have to do? They've got to prove that that resolution is true, that there's some example, there's some time when the USFG, the United States federal government, could do something to substantially increase its non-military exploration and or development of the Earth's oceans, and that is a good idea. So, how do you do it? Well, you have to come up with ideas about how you'll advocate to do this. For example, one example of a way to increase non-military exploration and or development, that's a mouthful, is to increase non-military development by creating aquaculture in the ocean. What's aquaculture? We'll learn more about it, but it's pretty much just farming stuff like fish or plants in the ocean. So, how do you do this? You have to prove 4 things. First is inherency. So that is that my plan idea is not happening right now. Second, you have to have a plan. So you have to have a statement that is your plan idea. Third is advantages. So these are things about why doing your plan is a good idea. So if we did my plan, it would be a good idea. And finally is solvency. And that is, if we did my plan, it would work. So that we could just, there is a way to do it. It's not just something that you made up off the top of your head. It's actually something that many people think can be done and should be done. So, this is just a basic introduction, and eventually you'll know a lot more about how to win on the AF with much more complicated things, but that's a topic for another day. These are just the big things you need to know about how to win on AF. That you need to have inherency, you need to have a plan, you need to have advantages, and you need to have solvency. Alright, how does a neg win? Well, it's really just the opposite of how the AF wins. You have to take out their advantages, you have to take out their inherency, you have to take out their solvency. Those are the 3 parts of being AF. And you have to prove that there are bigger disadvantages than advantages to the AF. So you have to prove that it's better to do nothing or to do something else than to do the AF. Or, another way you can do this is to prove the plan is not an example of the topic, that it's not exploration and or development of the Earth's oceans. Or you can prove that an alternative action is better than the AF. So that's called a counterplan. We'll learn more about that in future videos. Finally, you can prove a criticism or that the theoretical understanding of the AF is flawed. So for example, you could say that the AF focuses too much on the impacts of humans and doesn't take into account the interconnection of nature. So that's really bad because the AF is just looking at kind of a minutia of the way the world actually is. But all of these things, terms that you'll learn in the future, but disadvantages, topicality, counterplan, and critique are ways, strategies that the neg uses to prove that the AF is a bad idea. So, that was a lot. Don't worry, you don't need to learn all of it right now. all you have to know is there are things that the AF must prove and then the neg must prove. And always remember that you could take your notes and evidence into the debate. So that was the first part of the part 1 to introduction to debate video. Part 2 is going to be right after this. And so here's a quick update about what's coming after the break. First, we're going to talk about evidence in debate. Second, we're going to talk about the introduction to how we use technology in debates. And then third, we're going to have a quick Q&A about policy debate and common questions that novices have about this activity. So I hope you learned a lot from this video. If you have further questions, always feel free to comment in the comment bar. Or if you have just comments about how to make these videos better, constructive please, also feel free to comment. I hope you enjoyed it, and please join me after the break.